Okay, V. So my first question is, how have you been?
How have I been? As
Don't
of
don't say
lately?
good. Give me the realest answer you can.
No, I have actually been calmer.
Mm,
That's a great word that I've been using lately. Um, I am feeling way more in control lately.
mm,
Focused, even though if we break down my daily routines and my scatterbrain, and you're like, wait, how does focus go with that? But it does. I do feel focused, calmer, peaceful. Lately there's like just a driven force behind me that
mm-hmm.
I just kind of tapped in fully lately. Um, and then you mix a little bit of exhaustion in there to just kind
Of
of keep
course.
things spicy.
Yeah.
But yes, I can actually, if you asked me that question maybe a month ago,
Mm,
it would have just been kind of catching me in like a transitional period of kind of just like a tough season might you might say, but you're catching me right after the fact, so I'm in a really good headspace emotionally, mentally, physically. I could always use a little bit more sleep, but that's besides the point. But yes, how are you?
I'm good. Then thank you for
Yeah,
asking. It's funny because guests don't usually ask me that question back.
I say that all the time when I say hi to someone. They're like, how about you? And I'm like, oh my God, no one ever asks like, how are you?
It's funny because like one of my favorite phrases is "What about you?" Like a lot of people like just like to talk about themselves, and it kind of works because I generally like to talk about the other person, but like it always like kind of impresses me and even kind of throws me off when people are like, "How about you? Like what do you think?" And it's kind of like it's a little part of me is like, "Wow, like you care."
I know.
But yeah, no,
Yes.
I've been good. So I got a new job in January. If you asked me that question like in December, I would have said like I'm okay. I'm living check to check. I'm okay. But ever since my new job, I've been doing much better because
That's
like
great.
money plays a large role in mental health and
Such a large role.
yeah.
Yes.
Back to you though. So you said that, if we asked you the question a month ago, it wouldn't have been as great. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about your heart. Like what were you going through a month ago?
I think I was letting go of like a relationship
Hmm.
that wasn't kind of just serving its purpose.
Mm,
I think that I had a lot on my plate at work professionally.
mm,
Um, and I was tackling starting a new company that we had already been working on, but there was just a lot of need to just apply time for it and get it really going. So between your personal life, meaning your relationships, and working a job that requires over 50 hours a week,
wow.
being a full-time single mom,
Mm,
and trying to say, you know what, I want to take care of myself as an individual, as a
mm,
woman. I had a moment where I was not balancing anything at all.
mm,
Um, and so I just was stuck in the middle of that, and I had to kind of just regroup, recenter, which I'm really great at, and I know exactly when I need to do it.
mm,
But when you're in the middle of it, when you're like, hey, you kind of veered off the path, those are really like tough weeks, right?
mm.
So we're right back on track where we need to be. So it's
So
good. It's been, yeah.
a month ago you were in a relationship and you were juggling like work and being a mom and like so what changed in the past month? It sounds like you're not in that relationship anymore. You right?
It was like just letting go of that aspect of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Close, like I don't have time to date.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I believe that it just requires so much of me.
Yeah, yeah.
So when there's like kind of just lingering connections that you're still entertaining to a
Mm-hmm.
certain degree, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like I was somebody's girlfriend or anything like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
But there was you were investing time.
Mm-hmm.
So as you're investing time emotionally on something with someone, that takes away, right? You have to maintain that, and then you have to maintain being a mom, and you have to maintain showing up at work. So it's just distractions that you really don't really want to focus on anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You could say like, you know what, this in my life, I don't need it right now. Um and so I had to kind of just clear the plate. And now I'm right where I want to be. focusing on the people that I want to focus on, focusing on the things that I want to focus on. So that makes me feel very fulfilled.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about focus. Like, we only have a certain amount of focus, and, we have 24 hours in a day, which really honestly isn't enough nowadays. And,
Yeah.
like, it really, really matters what you focus on because everything we focus on is focusing on everything else less, right? You know what I mean? So it's like, it sounds like you kind of opened up your bandwidth and your mental bandwidth, and now you can focus on the things that are really important to you, which, let's talk about that. What are you focusing on nowadays?
So what are we focusing on now? My job is my priority always, right? It is my source of income. So I just genuinely feel like sometimes we don't have the um like the pleasure to just
Mhm.
be like, let's just focus on our dreams and like the
Yeah.
career that we actually want,
Mhm.
right? So we need to make sure that we always have a solid, steady income. So for me, I always want to maintain focus on my main source of income.
Mhm.
Um, and I genuinely do enjoy, I enjoy what I do.
Mhm.
And so I'm a general manager for a restaurant brand. And we have now almost 3 projects open here on Long Island. So I operate that, all the operations from the floor to the kind of like the back end office stuff. So to me, my job is really important. I don't know how to stop working. I'm always available. Um, my phone is always like, okay, who needs me? What needs me? And I like it though. You know how some people are just like, oh, it's because it's so demanding and it's affecting my mental. I thrive off of it. So there's different individuals that need different things. You know, people post online like, okay, shutting the laptop because it's Friday. And I'm just like, I enjoy working, knowing that there'll be a greater result if I plug in more time. And being a mom, I find myself just I pride myself in the kind of mother that I am. I work really hard to be the type of mother that I am.
Mhm.
And so I don't want any distractions or anything that takes away from me being able to be present, emotionally in control, mentally capable of making sure that, hey, I am still, if I'm angry at something or someone, I need to check myself before I go and speak to my children because that translates.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
huge on that, right? A
Mhm.
burnout of the day, your
Mhm.
kids get the end of it.
Mhm. Mhm.
If you're angry with someone, let's say a boyfriend, if you have a boyfriend, and then someone, your baby comes up to you, Mommy, I need this. Oh, I cannot have that. Right.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
require a lot of emotional self-control. And if things don't align and kind of allow that space for me to live in, like they just gotta go. So we're really focused on work. We're focused always on motherhood. And then I started a company with a partner. She's in Colombia, and we have a graphic and branding design company.
Interesting.
Yes. So we do that. She is a an artist, an amazing one on her own, and she does her own thing. And then obviously I have my day job, and then at night and off days we kind of just go ahead and tackle projects together. And I met her through work. I needed someone to do something for me, and women have this very detective instinct that we that we're just born with it. And I stalked her on Instagram and then we just had like a soulmate connection, like a professional soulmate connection. So it was just kind of organic. I also took some time and got my certification for life coaching. So I'm a
Nice.
certified life coach.
Oh, I didn't know
Um,
there was a certification for that.
yes. I mean,
Really?
can you call yourself a life coach just like that?
I didn't know. Like, tell us what that's like. I didn't know.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of schools online.
Uh-huh.
And you literally take a course. Some are anywhere from 6 weeks to 6 months.
Mhm.
And you pay. It's obviously not free.
Mhm.
And the course is set to take about 3 months.
Mhm.
Some are longer, but you could finish them. It's at your pace. The
Mhm.
work is there, the tests are there. And so I did that about what, I think like 3 months ago.
Mhm.
So again, I was tackling so much. I was like, ah. So we did that. So I can say that I am a certified life coach. And I used to tell people all the time, my girlfriend's like, you're so good at giving advice. And our friendship is very much like, I feel like I'm always taking from you. Like it's all about me, me, me. I'm like, I know.
Yeah.
And so
Wait.
I was like,
Wait. Who said it's always about me, me, me?
I've had friendships where they're always very one-sided. Just kind of like you said, do people ever ask like, "Hey, how are you, Chris?" And
Uh-huh.
that's always kind of been a theme throughout my life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like I'm always giving advice. I'm always hearing someone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always there for someone. And I never feel like that's given back to me.
Reciprocated.
But that's okay. Why is it okay? I have no idea. There's this kind of like a role that you are born to play, and I am just the caretaker, the listener, the being there for someone. And I've owned that role for really my whole life. So it just felt right to be able to say, hey, I can speak to you, but I've also done research and been certified at this. And ideally, I want to make a business out of it. Like, I want to make sure that I am a professional
Mm-hmm.
about it in the
Mm-hmm.
future.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm working towards. So when
Yeah.
you were like, hey, let's do a podcast, I'm like, let's start talking.
Perfect
Because you know what
timing.
I feel? All these podcasts that, and I don't listen too much.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I just kind of say like the first 10 seconds, I'm like, that's a great point. And then I just
Mm-hmm.
kind of like swipe to the
Scroll.
next.
Uh-huh.
Um, I feel like people are talking to people, not with people.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Instagram and any kind of platform like that,
Mm-hmm.
YouTube or whatever, it's kind of saying like, hey, this is the formula. If you want this, this is what you need to do. And it's not because we're all different, right? So
Mm-hmm.
your formula to your success or your needs to reach fulfillment are not going to work for me. So I want to talk with people. I don't want to talk to people. So that's kind of where I'm kind of working towards.
No, I think that's a great philosophy for a life coach, because you have to, like, I was actually just thinking today about how I'm a much bigger fan of like telling people or helping people understand the pros and cons of their actions as opposed to just telling them what to do. Like
Yes.
I would rather tell someone like, hey, this action will cause A, B, C, and D rather than actually just like telling them what to do. Because
Yes.
I think it's really important to understand that we're not perfect and that like one thing that I remind myself is I'm not the decider of the truth. And I think that's really important to do as people, as life coaches, as like I'm my goal is to be a therapist. And I think it's
Nice.
important to like remind ourselves that like we're not perfect, but we can at least help people understand like what are the pros and cons of their actions and where will it will lead them or where it might lead them
Yes.
as opposed to like telling them what to do. Um,
Right.
you said something that I want to go back to. You said that you're like throughout your life, and I've heard this from many
So
diff-
many
from many
people.
other people that you're just this giver, 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 and you never really reciprocate, you never really receive. And then you said something interesting, which is I'm okay with that. And I'm wondering like, is there a part of you that's not?
When you know, when you don't know any different, isn't that just what it is? So I'm okay with it because I don't know the other side. And so that's my identity, being who I am as far as, I went to I did like a spiritual cleanse forever ago and they said you're a healing energy. You're placed on this earth as a healing energy. And it all makes sense to me because I'm like people take. People need me more than I need them as far as like talking and venting and being there for them. But I don't know anything else. If you bring me back to my childhood, I don't know a place where a moment long enough where I felt safe and taken care of.
Mhm.
Obviously, I had a roof over my head and food and a decent life, right? But what makes us, right? My emotions, I don't recall having a safe place for where people said, "Hey V, are you okay? Hey, how was school, honey?" I don't recall that. I don't have those memories. So this has always been me. Maybe in the future, I find myself in a relationship or in a space where now I get to just explore what that other, if you did the opposite of that dynamic, what it would feel like. But I would be lying if I said I've had a life where I've been on the receiving end. So I'm very mindful that because I don't know that side or what it feels like or being a product of that side, I want to make sure that my kids get that side. I want my kids to be there for each other emotionally, but then always have someone to be there for them emotionally. So it goes back to the conversation of we're always breaking cycles, right? When it comes to now it's your turn to parent, we're gonna go back to your childhood. We're gonna find all the things that you said, I wish those things were different, and then we're gonna start breaking cycles.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you for bringing up the childhood because that's one of my favorite topics. That's where everything starts. And thank you for, opening up because I would love to talk more about this, about like, because I think this is a prob I would assume plays a very large role in like who you are. Like the
Yes.
fact that like you've always been the giver, you've always been the person who listens, the therapist in a way. And I'd love to talk more about this if you're okay with it.
Yeah, go
So
shoot.
yeah, so I'm wondering like what were your parents like?
So, and then we'll do it like super fast, so for time's sake.
No, I'm
Um,
not in I mean, I'm
oh
not
no.
in a rush at all. I took a power nap, so I'm good.
Amazing. So, I was born here, then I
I
was
actually
raised in
want the
Colombia.
long version to be honest.
Okay, great. I was born here, raised in Colombia. My dad, um, in jail.
Wait, you were born
For the
here and raised in Colombia?
Yes, like within months I was there because my whole family was there.
Okay.
Um, my dad was in jail for a while, not in and out, just in jail. And my mom, I don't recall super early on, but I do know that when I started obviously remembering, she was already here. The usual, your mom leaves, your aunt and your grandparents raise you, and your mom comes here, works two, three jobs, and sends the money over. I had a really nice childhood as far as very well taken care of financially. Um, Private school, you name it, we had it. But there was no I don't remember being emotionally developed. There was nobody really taking that sort of role in my life. Um, I now, years later, I had to sit down with my mom and she used to tell me that there was a point in my life where I told her that you abandoned me. I had no recollection.
Hmm.
So when she was sitting across from me, I'm a woman now, I am a mother, and we are kind of trying to unpack so we can heal. And she goes, you used to scream at me that I abandoned you.
Really?
Yes. And I said, oh my God, thank you, because this makes sense. Like that little girl at whatever age I said that to you once out of anger or anything, that's a true feeling.
Hmm.
And so little V must have felt this whole time abandoned, you know? Um, I recall meeting my dad at some point, and, then it started kind of like the weekend pickups. I never wanted to go. I used to cry. He used to like rip me out of wherever I was. It's like, you have to go. It's your weekend. That's not safe. If a kid doesn't want to go and they're expressing themselves that way, don't go.
A hundred
I
percent
just had
agree.
an instance with my kid this morning like that. Um, so there was nothing in my life that actually made me feel safe to be whoever I was in that moment. My dad, I remember going to his apartment and you see women, drugs, guns,
Really?
suitcases full of money,
Really?
and yeah, the whole nine. Um, no one would say, "Hey, how was your dad's house? What, like, are you okay? You were so upset going." No one. So I just, okay, this is okay. Like you just internalize that this is what it is. Um, and then I ended up moving to the States with my mom, and we ate shit. So, talk about living a very posh life in Colombia, to like sleeping on the floor in Brooklyn. We used to have like rats crawl on top of us.
Man.
Yeah, so I was like, wow, different. But I was with my mom, so I think that made me happy. She worked her ass off. God bless my mom. I mean, I get my work ethic from her. And I know that she did her best. And but we really went through it. So processing the life that you had to then coming here, and we're talking like we would split one meal. Do you remember those bodega? meals like that, and you had like when the
Hmm.
grape Snapples were a thing,
Hmm.
and they were so cheap, and we would
Hmm.
be in the subway, and that would be the meal of the day. Like, thank God for schools with free lunch, because if not, I don't know how I would survive. Um, and then she met my stepdad, and things got better. And I always feel like people say that, like the woman that's struggling meets a stepdad, and then the person talking about it's like, and then things finally started to get better. And it did. And she was with my stepdad for, oh my God, over 20 years. Had my stepbrother, um, domestic violence in that
Oh,
whole relationship.
so things
So
got better and then things got worse.
yes. So we had a roof, we had a home, a basement apartment. Like, this was normal enough. But then we did have that. We experienced that, and never anyone kind of just sitting down and being like, "Hey, there's kids. Like, how do you feel? You know, this is a lot. Your life has been a lot throughout." Um, and if we go down to like dark episodes, I'm talking instances where the cops would come and pick up my little brother and I and her and say, you know, do you have somewhere safe to stay tonight? And we would, like, that one time they took us to my grandma. I'll never forget this. And I was way too young to care, you know, or like to kind of like, this is wrong. So my mom goes and I guess they're crying and she's explaining, and my grandma goes, "Well, what did you do to piss him off?"
She put the blame on you.
On my mom.
Oh, and your mom.
So here is like, you get cops are dropping us off, your daughter's crying, like, you know, he hit me or whatever it was that in that case. And my grandma goes, "What did you do?" And that's a thing we hear so common, right? And I'm like, and I remember sitting on the couch, I'm like, this is wrong. Like, this is not okay.
How old were you at this time?
Oh, I was middle school.
Okay.
Middle school, it must have been eighth grade.
Okay.
Um, and then right the next morning, we were right back in the house. Like, nothing happened. And I cannot tell you the damage that that does to someone's mental. Because to be a child that, like, we go from the night before to now they're happy and kissing and making up and having breakfast, and
Confusing.
now we sit in this anger that nobody, not grandma, not uncle, not grandfather, not my mom, not them together as a couple, nobody acknowledged it.
Swept under the
It
rug.
just it just stays there,
Hmm.
and it conditions you. It conditions you. And that happened for years. I'm talking, you know, I remember I was having ice cream with my best friend and her mom, and I would always be out. I never wanted to be home. And I would get a phone call from my little brother. He's 10 years younger than me, so you can imagine how little he was. And it'd be like, "You have to come home." And I'm like, "What's going on?" It's like, "Daddy's gonna hit mom. You have to come home." And I'm like,
Really?
how do I look at another adult and say, "Hey, I need to go home because X, Y, and Z?" All that shapes me to who I am without really processing it until I'm way years older, you know?
Yeah.
So my 20s and all those things and all those decisions, I have yet to process all of it. Then I kind of become my own person. I left my house at 17. I said, "You can go back. I'm not going back." She went back for a couple of years. Um, and then they split up, and thank God, you know, she is with my stepfather now, who's the grandparent to my children, and he is a godsend. He is a good man, you know, and I'm so happy that she is safe, that she is loved, and she's taken care of.
She finally
Um,
chose a good one this time.
yes, you know, it just finally clicked for
Score.
her. Um, and my journey of healing and feeling like it didn't come from her, you know, there was no acknowledgement, no like, "I'm sorry, I can't even imagine," because she's dealing with her own journey. And sometimes people are not capable of that, right? Like, she just has to make sure she's okay with her part in it. Um, and so she's fine, and I love this life for her. I'm so happy for my mom. Um, but it was really hard 20s. We had a very strained relationship for many years. We
You and
just
your
didn't
mom.
know how to communicate. I was so busy, not angry. I was busy being disappointed. And I know you spoke on a podcast about how you allow a space of anger to sit there for a little bit,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
That's it's an emotion, it's healthy.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
I never felt anger. I was just so disappointed. because she was given so many chances to just show up for a second and she wasn't capable of it. You know, my mom dealt with literally just depression on top of all that. So she didn't have the tools to be there. And it became exhausting for me to show up for myself alone constantly, you know. Um, but we made it. We are about a year in, 2 years into a very healthy relationship after so many years. And I think a lot of the things that happened in my 20s really just made me be able to just focus that maybe a counter person might not give you what you need to move on, right? And that goes for anything, relationships, friendships, like they might just never give you that closure or be part of your healing. And that's okay because you need to do it on your own. You cannot be dependent on someone else. Um, and then about 20 something, um, there was a sexual assault situation in my life. Um, from a family member.
Really
Yes.
insane.
Yeah, so I've had a little bit of everything. I'm like a melting pot. And and so that I still deal with every day. It plays a lot into the way I parent. It plays a lot into the fears that consume me mentally. Um, and I'm still trying to process because it's a very weird situation. You know, I was so big on I had a best friend who was molested by her stepfather.
Jesus.
And it was very weird that all the adults knew, including my mom. And I would be allowed to go to sleepovers. I never understood how they allowed that. And as I
Did they
got
know about
older,
him? Like, did they know the way that he was when they let you sleep over?
and as I moved away from those years of my life, I would look back, Chris, and I would say, "Thank you, God." Because I don't know why, but you didn't make me a victim of that. Thank you. To fall victim. And I would say, you know, you were older, so you would say, but regardless, I'm such a little badass. Like I would have called him out. I would have all these things. And then you see shows and moments and you're like, no, you run, you scream, you do something, right? And I'm such a like, And so I would always see in these shows and Law and Order, anything you see, you'd be like, if I was in that situation, this is what I would do, you know?
It's
And I
easy to
always say,
say.
listen, I'm gonna tell you something. And believe every victim that tells you this. There's a freezing effect.
Yeah.
You
Hmm.
just freeze.
Paralysis.
You just you
Hmm.
just don't know. You're surviving. You're having an outer body experience. You just need it to be over. That's it.
Hmm.
But I was and I'm like, you were an adult. You were tough. Like you have a voice and you felt victim to it, you know? So I see it as a situation that happened to me. I see it as the healing will be lifelong,
Yeah.
but I felt an understanding to victims that I didn't have before, you know? And I always like to look at the things that happen in life, the negative ones, the
Hmm.
impactful ones, and I say, you know, what is the positive here? And the positive is that I am a survivor.
Hmm.
And the positive is that I understand someone that goes through that, you know? And I understand how we can react in a way that, again, it's just a shutdown, freeze, survive the moment. Let's just hope that life can go on. Okay, I can live with that. I can. And I can live with the fact that I will forever always be healing from the things that have happened
Yeah.
um, prior to becoming a mother. Um, and now I learn to deal with those kind of darkness, those little moments in life, and I say, how can I protect my daughter? You know, and my son, and how do I also control it in the sense of I don't want to be the word is not psychotic and obsessive about it, but sometimes it does happen, you
Mhm.
know? And so I understand people that have these thoughts and they consume them and they're not able to function sometimes. You know, we talk about mental health and this is your thing. And it's like sometimes these things, this trauma, it's so crippling. When people say, hey, this is what happened to me, and I can't even get out of bed 20 years
Yeah,
later,
yeah, yeah.
and then here's an opposite person, it's like, I get out of bed and I went through something similar. We're not the same. We're not the same, you know, and doesn't make you any better or any stronger. It's just, it's a different journey. It's a different person. It's a different mindset. It's a different everything. So I'm able to understand people both ways. You know, I had really hard times when I had my second child, my son. I couldn't get out of bed in the morning,
Really?
you know, and I would have vivid dreams and I had no one to talk to it about. No one, because I was surrounded by people that's like, okay, well, me too, and I survived, you know, and I just get up and I was like, okay, no,
Invalidating.
I know, but today's really hard. You know, like today's like one of those days that I'm just crumbling. And so you start just healing for you and finding that inner strength because there's no circle. Now there's podcast, there's pages, there's comments that you can read, right? Everybody leaves comments and you're like, oh, this person too. And there's a moment of you can relate and you're not alone. But really, a couple of years back, when people are, and it's still stigmatized, right? Mental health
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you're a weak person if you
yeah.
can't.
Hmm.
So that allowed me to really just go in and be like, okay, V, you got this, and no one understands it in your inner circle, but like you can find inner strength, you can find inner healing, you can find the purpose to just go. So I did.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you so much for opening up. You gave me a
Of
lot
course.
to think about and a lot to respond to. Let me tell you, can I share what I hear when I hear you speak?
Yeah.
What I hear is a person who has never really felt seen, has never really felt understood, was never really treated like a human being who matters. You know, someone who maybe other people just depend on, maybe that other people use, and like never really am I hitting it? Like, tell me if I'm wrong. Like, do you feel like you were treated like a human being when you were a kid or even an adult? Tell me if I'm wrong.
I, you know what, I don't want to shake my head and say you got it because I
Mm-hmm.
don't feel that way. But
Mm-hmm.
maybe
Mm-hmm.
is because I already moved and healed from that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because
Mm-hmm.
if we had this conversation some years back, then I would say, Chris, you see me. Do you
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? So at
Mm-hmm.
some point,
Mm-hmm.
I was that person.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, and for the last couple of years, I don't feel that way anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But throughout the progress and the journey, 1000%.
Mm-hmm.
When that self-work started, that was done with. So yes. Yeah, at some point in my life, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
But I am glad to not be there anymore. You know, like to me, it's just I survived what I did. The trauma that lives there, but I am healthy from it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not quiet in my trauma or abuse or things that happened in my life. I own them, I communicate them, and when I share them in a hope that it ends with the fact that I took something positive out of it, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and I am really just, I'm not that anymore. I feel really healthy. I feel seen by the people that I want to be seen by, and I feel that I'm always just doing the work now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm just like, let's go, let's do this. Life is good. You know, life is not that. But years back, if you said that, I'd be like, that's exactly it, Chris.
Yeah, so it sounds like for a while you didn't feel seen, and then
Yeah.
you somehow built a circle and found a circle that helped you feel seen and understood. So because I remember you saying before that people don't really ask you like how was your like what about nowadays, like are people, do you feel more seen nowadays, like do people ask you how are you and do you
Yeah,
feel
I
more
have
listened
really
to?
great friendships.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and and it still feels a little off to me because I'm
Mhm.
just like, guys, I'm the one that's like the nurturer or, but my
Still.
girlfriend, I have a girlfriend that I just reconnected with, and she's always like, can I do something for you? And I'm like, no, you silly, can I do something for you? And like, that's a beautiful friendship. And, my girlfriends, we're constantly there for each other, but my group is really small. And
Do you hate
I
asking for things?
totally,
Why?
yes.
Why?
Um, because it's just been V all her life,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And it's awkward to change it. I've tried it. It makes me feel very uncomfortable, you know? Um, yeah, it just doesn't work.
How does it make you feel? You said uncomfortable. You
It makes
give
me
give.
feel uncomfortable. It makes me feel insecure.
Mm.
I feel like sometimes it will get thrown in your face based on experiences,
Based on the
right?
person.
And so to me, it's just, I'm okay right now. And I have tried it in my adult life where I'm just more kind of like open to like, hey, it just doesn't work. The dynamic, maybe it's the person, maybe it's the
I
friendship.
think it's definitely the person.
So I'm like, people talk about this woman, and this trending soft life, soft era, and like, it's so good, it's so juicy to think about, and I want it. What person doesn't want it? But you got to find it with the right person in the right environment. The energy has to flow, but um, life has made me a little bit of a control freak in the sense of like I need to make sure I'm in control of my emotions,
Mhm.
the outcomes, because that's where I thrive the best, you know. In a partnership, I want to let loose and I can. I just want to let go, which is
Mhm.
what we were talking about. Women just want to, what is this? I love it. These trendy things like the feminine energy,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
everything will
Uh-huh.
flourish if you just let her live in her
Uh-huh.
feminine energy or whatever it's called.
Soft life.
She will soft life. She will just create mountains for you, you guys. And I think and it's true, as like played out as it might sound to men to keep hearing it. It's true. I think I would thrive off of just feeling like, hey, you're here to take this load off of me,
Mhm.
you know? And I can explore another different V. But it comes like what we said right now. I think when someone knows just this and they have managed to make it work for them, and not just in a survival state of being, but they find happiness in it, they find fulfillment in it, then it works for them. And I
Mhm.
think that's key because we're often saying, well, based on what you're telling me or your trauma, don't you think this or that? You have to hear the person. The person also has to be honest with you.
Mhm.
If someone is saying, hey, I'm happy, I feel fulfilled, I have goals that I'm working towards, that person is good, right? Now
Mhm.
we need to take care of the other people that are saying I'm good, but they don't seem good.
They're just saying
Right?
it.
Or that I'm good comes with a little bit of a pause. Come, tell me a little bit more. Like
Mhm.
there's a little bit more. But when you ask me, I'm genuinely happy,
Mhm.
And if I enter an era in my life where I can be a different version of me, I'm gonna embrace it. And we could sit down 5 years from now and be like, Chris, I'm living my soft era. And this is amazing. So can you imagine like there would be a whole nother chapter of healing? There's so much healing already in my life that another version of me being able to exist would then just keep more healing and being more positive and learning so much more about life. But yeah, I feel good. I'm okay. I'm more than okay being who I am right now.
Yeah,
This this
I'm
this
what
works.
I'm wondering. Yeah, I'm glad that it works, and I'm wondering like how you would respond if you met a man who actually like let you live that soft life. Like, would you be like, would you feel? Because remember before you mentioned uncomfortable and insecure, right? And I'm
Yes.
wondering like, would you feel that if you found that man?
I hope I don't feel that way.
Hmm.
Because if we're saying, hey, it's made me feel insecure and uncomfortable in the past, maybe it wasn't the right person or connection. you
Mm-hmm.
know? Um, I'm hoping that if I fall into that space, then I'll be able to be like, I didn't even get those feelings, which means this is working. And I'm super private about my personal life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I'm open. I love meeting people, right? And I love talking to people, which sometimes doesn't work because I want to talk to everybody. I want to talk to guys, girls, and it just doesn't
Mm-hmm.
work these times around these times. But I'm an explorer of people's minds, you know. So if you're a guy and you say hi, I'm gonna be like, hey, what's going on with you? You know, and so that doesn't carry well in a lot of scenarios. And it gets misinterpreted. But I want to always meet people where they are. I know I had a guy the other day and he was asking me out. I have no problem also saying like, "Hey, I'm not interested." But like, thank you so much, you know? I didn't get like, "Oh my God, I should block him." Like, I was like, "This guy is putting himself out there." You know, like but that's I feel like that's like the life coach in me, right? The wannabe therapist, but I won't because it's too much schooling. So I'm sitting there like I'm like, ah, he's really like just trying. And then I'm like, but like, if I were his life coach, I'd be like, good, until she says, hey, you're making me feel uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But she, you know, and I was receptive. I'm like, thank you so much. Like, I'm really not interested at all. And then he was like, no, I just want to let you know that, like, I love what you're about. I can sense an energy. I see how you are as a mother. And I'm like, I appreciate that. And you know what? That interaction, I hope obviously he doesn't try again. Um, and then that doesn't make him stop being himself for that next person, right? Because he's going to do it to the next woman that's going to be his person, and she's going to be all about that. Like, way to follow through, way to be consistent. I like this. This is a connection. I didn't want to be that one person that made him hesitate to just be himself. But I'm not interested right now.
Mm-hmm.
And if I do, and if I end up feeling like I don't feel insecure or I don't feel awkward, then that means I found my person, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, check back.
No, no, I agree, and I'm sensing like a very very high sense of empathy because a lot of women
So
and men
much.
nowadays are like very very like when they reject people they just no or they block them or go away.
So
And,
unkind,
yeah, and
right?
I remember you posted on Instagram a few days ago. You said something that stuck with me that I kind of wanted to say for this podcast. You said everyone deserves to be loved. Do you remember
Yes.
saying that? And
Yes.
that stuck with me because like that's a very, very like high in empathy, a very empathetic philosophy.
Yes. And I
And
find myself to be very empathetic, yes, to a fault. Like, I want everybody to be positive, healed, and feel love. And I come from a place where a lot of people we define love differently, right? I've navigated a couple of years where people were kind of saying, well, love is all these negative emotions too,
hmm
right?
hmm
Um, and I say to you it is, but it's okay for someone else to define love differently. You know, I left my ex, we were engaged, and I call off an engagement, the father of my children.
Oh wow.
And not one fight, no cheating, no nothing. It just wasn't working, you know? And I wanted to leave from a place of love instead of a place of trying and growing resentment and hate towards someone. I always want to lead with love. I feel like we can heal with love. And so when I say people view love differently, we all do. To me, love doesn't hurt. To me, love is not angry. To me, love doesn't hit. To me, love doesn't cheat. To me, love is completely different from what someone next to me might think love is, right? And that is why our thresholds are different. Sometimes people say, well, you quit so fast. Not me in general. I'm just speaking in terms, you left so fast. If you love someone, how could you? Because I love myself differently, and because to me, the definition of love is not that. I can say I love you, but the minute you don't love me the way I view love, it's okay to exit the room. However, if you need toxicity and heightened emotions, right, and no self-control of those emotions, love hurts. I don't want love to hurt. And guess what, guys? It doesn't have to hurt. It can, if that's what works for you. We're always going to go and circle back to whatever works for that person to feel fulfilled,
Hmm.
right? Because we said everybody's very different.
Hmm.
So for you to define love like that and thrive off of it, great. But let's please give a space for people that say, no, I want my love to be healthy and kind and safe. That's possible too, and those people that are in that journey, it's like, hey, we can get there too. Why did we get here? What tangent did we go on? But I love love. I
No,
love it. I just feel like people, listen, everybody should just aim to feel love. If partnership is your goal too, I love that. I love that people are not giving up. I feel a little disappointment when people are wanting love, but they've given up because of
it's
such
the
bad
worst.
experiences.
Yeah.
Oh my
It's
God, I get so
traumatizing.
frustrated. I
Dating
get
is a
so frustrated.
traumatizing experience, man.
It is so bad out there.
It's bad. It's nasty out there.
But
Everyone is just
like,
for themselves.
oh man, what happened to it? And how do we get
Social
it
media, man.
back?
Social media,
I'm
I think
telling
played a
you,
large
listen,
role.
it's just so sad. I work in the hospitality industry, so we see a lot of people and I get to just meet different. These women have given up. 90% of the ones I meet on love. Men have so much to say, women have so much to say, and I'm just like, how do we get ourselves back to just loving and being healthy about it? And it just feels like we're, again, prioritizing the wrong things, not worrying about genuine connections, genuine expectations, communication. None of that is really being put in the forefront. And and I always say society focuses on the negative first.
Mm. The
Hate,
human brain, I would
negativity,
say.
yes. Hate, negativity, failure. Everything is louder when it sits on a negative space.
Hmm.
Everything.
Hmm.
Stereotypes based on race, gender, like all of it. If it's from a negative space, that's the loudest thing in the room. And so this is why we say all these things are failing, all the positives, all the things that fulfill us, they're failing because they're not being heard or seen because we're so consumed in the negative space. You know, I talk about it all the time, the negative connotation of being a single mom. And I laugh about it because I've had this conversation with guys and girls, girlfriends, and I'm like, since when did society decide that being a single mom meant being a struggling mom who's looking for a man to just come and swipe her off her feet and support these kids too?
Hmm.
I am proud when I say I'm a single mom. That's the space I'm in. That's the space I chose. Not saying that, yes, some of them are struggling and it's
Hmm.
just hard out there, but that loudness of the positive side of it, you don't hear it. So this exists. The struggling mom. Who wants to date the struggling mom of two, right? Or when we talk about my ex is black, the absentee black father, right? That's what we hear. That's the loudest. Giving no space for the black fathers that do show up, that
Yeah.
support good black men.
Hmm. Hmm.
No, because we want to live here.
Hmm.
We want to be victims. We want to just literally spend energy on the things that don't serve us. And that sucks. I think if we all kind of just stepped here and we heard about this, it's when someone fails, you're the first people are, oh, but remember when you did that and it didn't work? But when you succeed, and so
Yeah.
we should be living in a space of celebrating everything, celebrating good single moms, good parents that show up, co-parenting, successes for your friend, like your friends. They always say when your friends end up doing a business, your friends will be the last ones to buy whatever you're
Yeah.
selling,
Yes. That.
right?
Yep.
So it's we're all here, stuck in the negative space. We need to shift it and we need to help people shift, right? We need to make sure that we're out there and like leading with that feeling. And that's why I'm like, I always want to be open to speaking to anyone that wants to speak to me. I always want to just be like, how is your day too? Like, I always want to overcare because
Mm.
that one person, like today, a guy goes, I just want to let you know that like, I see your videos of how you parent and I want to be, it makes me want to be a better dad. And I was like, stop. Like that was so wholesome. And I was like, you're amazing. Like if you're doing your best, you're amazing. He's like, no, V, but like I'm just needed to let you know that. So like if we could just touch one person's day or help each other in one way, I'll see something that a mom's doing and I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm gonna now kind of personalize it to how it fits me. But like I love that. We need to learn from each other. We need to give each other tools, keys, and we need to lead with love and positivity. I know it's like so cheesy when you say those words, but seriously, it's the only thing that's gonna get us to just be better people, decent humans, do better.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the I think you bring up some great points. I think that love is the only thing that like gets us through the tough times, because we all
Yeah.
have tough times. My grandma's funeral was just this morning, and
I'm sorry.
my aunt was saying at the funeral, she said something very, very interesting. She said something like there are times to love and there are times to hate. And like I was thinking about that this morning, and you brought up my video before about when I said like resentment can be healthy and resentment can anger can be healthy, and now you're saying that love conquers all basically, and love is healthy and love is great.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering like what is your perspective on anger, and like did you agree with my video when I said that anger can be
Yes,
healthy?
to a certain
Yeah.
degree,
Hmm.
100%.
Hmm.
And I think what we talked about was you have to process your emotions,
Yeah.
right? It's like
Hmm.
saying
Hmm.
the stages of
Hmm.
grief,
Hmm.
the stages of healing.
Hmm.
And to sit in anger is the issue, right? But to have anger towards something, towards yourself, to a situation, towards someone, and then have the tools and the capacity to move from that stage to what's after anger, understanding, acceptance, you know, um,
Forgiveness.
forgiveness. That's where we want to lead. So
Hmm.
sit in that
Hmm.
for a moment because
Hmm.
it's part of what's coming. The issue is we cannot stay back here. We need to make sure that you get yourself forward, you know,
Yeah.
and move that and then look back and say, I needed to feel that because then that gave room for what was next. So
Yeah.
that's what I meant. And I think that's exactly where you were. Like, hey, if you're feeling that, those are your feelings. They're
Yeah.
valid. You're
Hmm. Hmm.
processing. We don't all process differently. We
Hmm.
all do process differently.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's the progression. Let's make sure we have progression. We cannot sit in anger. We cannot sit in resentment. We cannot sit in depression. We cannot, right? Then that's
Mhm.
when we become depressing individuals, suicide, mental health,
Yeah.
if we stay stuck there,
Hmm.
right? And so that's what I meant where I was like, oh, I like that as long as we're just progressing from those feelings.
And I'm wondering, like, did you ever have a resentful time period in your life?
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot. How can I not? Resented my entire family for any key role they played. You know, a silly surface resentment for forever. You grow up in a household where I'm Latin, right? And so it's like the men get the seat at the table, the best cut of meat, and then you eat in the kitchen. I hated that. I was like, what is this? I was so angry that the men around the woman in my family weren't good enough, right? Like, so they're not deserving of us. But I felt like I was definitely the only one in my family feeling that way,
Mm.
you know? So I resented my grandma for it. Like,
For
be
letting it happen.
more, be more.
Hmm.
Why are we? But it's generational, but you just get so angry and resentful of it. And so you become this woman where for years I would say like, I'm not cooking for my man. Like, and it's so silly because I'm such an old school traditional at home. Like, because I think in my professional life I'm such a like go-getter and tough and I have to always be on that at home I'm just like, hi, do you want me to cook you something or make you a sandwich? But there was resentment there, so much resentment from my mom for years. I told you we had such a strained relationship. Um, my father, you know, so I lived in those spaces. And I gotta tell you, the first time my life changed, I was in high school, reckless, like middle school, high school, gangs, fights,
You
please,
were in
all of it.
fights?
Oh my God, girls hated me.
Yeah,
Also, if someone can tell me why, please. I'm 35, but I'll still take it. I listen. It was back when it was like, what was it, AOL chat, and they'd be like, "We're gonna fight you tomorrow." I'm like, "Why now?" And and I detention and in school suspension. Everybody knew my name. My mom was tired of getting phone calls. Like it just cut in class. Um, I lived all that, and I felt and it's so funny. You can pinpoint when in life you change. I can. Like some people are just like, oh, maybe it was a transition. No, like I had an English teacher in high school, and
I probably know him.
it was a female, Miss it was a woman, Miss Akunzo. How do you not know
Sounds
Miss Akunzo?
familiar. Sounds
Yeah.
familiar.
And she did this whole, you know, when Freedom Writers was a thing, that movie,
Hmm.
and you
Hmm.
wrote on journals. So she
Hmm.
implemented a journal, and I wouldn't write anything. And for weeks on weeks on weeks. And she then was like, "What's your deal?" And I was like, "Oh, like, you know." And I was like, "Nothing. Like, why do you care?" And she was like, "I just want you to open up." But no one cared. No one had asked for years. You know, now I'm like in 11th grade. Like, no one has sat and said, "Hey, V, you good? Like, what's your story? You're not alone." And I was like, "Leave me alone. Leave me." So one day she really got in me, and I just went home and I just went, wrote it all down, Chris, all of it, my whole life. And I handed it in, and she read it, didn't say a word for like a whole week. Now I'm feeling like here I am putting myself out there and I don't get anything in return, right? So I just opened up and there's no,
Reciprocation.
so now I'm insecure, I'm seen because now everything is on paper.
The vulnerable.
Somebody knows. And one day we were watching a movie and I still have this, a yellow posted, and it said in red Sharpie. And I get emotional every time because this is when my life changed. I admire you. That's it. I admire you. And I was like, I can be different. I can be better. Like someone cares. That was it for me. And I listen, nothing else gets me emotional about life. That does it for me because that was it. And I shifted. I left those friends. I left whatever kind of influence I was around, but I didn't know where to go. Where do I go now? I'm like this little wannabe gangster, you know? There's no space for me now.
Right.
And I used to eat my school lunch in the bathroom
Really?
because I had nobody.
Really?
Yeah, in the bathroom. Right next to the dean's, there was a bathroom. And I used to eat real fast so that nobody could see me. And then I would just go to my next class. And then I started working, passing out the slips for detention, or you have to go to the down to the dean's on my off periods because I didn't have anybody.
Mr. McGowan?
Then he met me. And she had said she's a trouble kid, and he was so tired of seeing me. And he goes, "Every day for lunch, you're gonna come here." Just
We're
like
talking
that.
about McGowan right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, "No." But I was already eating lunch in the bathrooms. So
Yeah, that's
I was like,
sad.
"I'm not showing up." Um, and the next day I showed up and it was a whole different demographic and vibe of people that hung there and were part of peer support and all that stuff. And I was just there and I just stood quiet and I just started just getting involved. Like these people care. And I completely, that's when I started to just be different and stop being angry and resentful. Like life was going to be okay. And I was in control of making it okay. And that is when I really just, it took off, you know, and I did peer support and I did so many panels with him. And he really took me under his wing. So did Ms. Akonso. These are beautiful programs. The
Yeah.
Awareness Weekend
I was
program,
just gonna say
these,
that.
oh my
Did you
God.
go up on the stage?
I did.
You
I think
did?
it was maybe the second one or something that
Oh,
they finally
really?
got me there.
I wish I was
And I
there.
remember the first exercise, the first group, you get the fuzzies with the hugs.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I don't hug. It took me for, I hug my kids so much now. Too many hugs because I can't remember getting hugged.
as a child.
And I remember this girl, Mariah, she goes to give me my first hug. I completely break down. Can't take a hug. Couldn't take a hug.
You couldn't take affection.
I couldn't take a hug. Another person went to hug me. I said, I'm okay. That was my first awareness weekend. I was like, I can't. And I just literally had this conversation. To me, a hug is so intimate. I'm I'm really weird with my hugs. And I think it becomes because I don't remember being, my mom doesn't hug me. She
Mm.
doesn't hug me.
To this
I
day.
don't remember.
Really?
Yeah.
You should just force it and see what happens.
I feel awkward.
Mm.
I feel like I don't want to put that on someone.
Mm.
So I overly hug my kids. I'm like, you are going to know we're getting hugged and kissed and being like, "Mm," is because no one should feel a hug should not break you down this way. Like,
Right.
what happened
Right.
to you? You
Right.
know, where was the love? Where was the support of that physical touch, you
Hmm.
know?
Hmm.
And that was really that whole year in high school. That's where my whole outlook, I was in tuned. I was going to be good. I was going to be in control of my happiness, and I was going to be like, These are the goals. This is what we're doing."
Yeah, it sounds like the
Yeah.
school system played a large role in your
Oh, it
recovery, which
saved
is
me. It
amazing.
saved me. Yeah, I'm like, school back then was so different too, though, you know? Like things have changed so much, but those programs, I love a library. I'm a supporter of free lunch. Like these things really, you don't know
How much
what
they
people are
mean.
going
Yeah.
through. You don't know if that's the only meal a kid is going to have
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
day. These programs like peer support
Mhm.
and all these things, they're life-saving for people who were at our very fragile stages in our life, you know? So, yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, thank you for opening up. I mean, you gave,
Yes.
yeah, how are, by the way, how are we like on time? Like, are you tired? Like, how are you
No, I'm
feeling?
good. So
Yeah,
whatever you need to squeeze, I think it's naturally leading towards it.
right.
So, but yeah.
I wrote down a bunch of things. I don't even know where to start because you gave me a lot to think about and to respond to, and I'm just trying to like collect my thoughts right now. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm wondering like, do you who do you have resentment towards nowadays?
No one.
Mm,
No. I have unfinished things that I need to take care of,
mm-hmm,
but they no longer sit in anger or resentment. You
mm.
know, I love my mom for who she is. I, what a hardworking woman, and I'm just glad she made it on the other side of her situations. I'm so happy that she's with a good partner. Um, my father, it, I'll get there,
Where
you
is he
know.
right now?
He's in Colombia. And I see him and I'll
Oh, you
speak
see
to
him.
him a couple of months. He's met the kids, you know.
Hmm.
But we will, in order to heal, it's at your own pace too. You know, you don't have to tackle everything at
Right,
once. I
exactly.
always tell people that it's okay.
Hmm.
You'll have time.
Hmm.
And and if it's where you want it to be, right? Because you know, we always say we have time, but tomorrow's not promised. So make sure that you're in a space that you're good with it. So there are some loose ends that I need to make sure I tackle, but they don't affect me right now. They don't bring me out of my positive space into a negative.
Hmm.
So when I have the energy to explore it more, I will, but I am content to where things are now. So I really don't. You know, life is good, and the people that have hurt me or, I've had, a conflict with, it's okay. I
Hmm.
had my family kind of just casted me aside for years because I just didn't agree with the way that their choices.
Hmm.
And if you ask me, it's okay. And I'm always here. I saw a couple of them at a funeral recently. My aunt passed away, and one of them gave me a hug.
Hmm.
It had been years.
Hmm.
Silly why we stopped talking. I don't even know. I was a child, but I was a teenager. It's your job to not. caused this? She hugged me and I was like, okay, like you're ready, you're back. That's great. So there's no, sometimes people are like, well, no, there's got to be a conversation and this and that. And like, no, love, that hug is way more than a conversation could have given me.
Mm,
Do you know, like that
mhm,
right there? And you feel it. She let go of all the, we'll never get those years back. She raised me, the person I'm talking about now. And now I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, and you missed all that. That's sad, you know, but it's okay because our heart is open. And no one, it's just not a lot of really big mistakes that should cause such much drift and be unable to forgive.
mhm.
So I was like, that's great. You're back in my life. And people think that's weird of me. They're like, how do you just close that and then open it like nothing? I'm like, because if it's coming from a good place, it's all love for me. Like I'm just like, okay, oh, you don't want to be around me, you don't want to be in my life. Okay, too. Like I am always like, it's fine. It's life, the universe, it's working itself out, you know? So no, I don't sit in a place of resentment or anger with anyone. No.
Yeah, I'm noticing. I feel like you're an extremely emotionally mature person. You know, like you've been through a lot. You were treated quite poorly when you were a child, and now I'm noticing like you're just full of compassion, full of forgiveness, full of empathy, like very, very introspective, very emotionally intelligent. Sorry if I'm embarrassing you right now.
No,
I don't
it's
know. I don't
great.
know.
I
I
love it
don't.
because I'm in a space where, hey, yes, talk on me.
Mhm.
And like that feels great because that is me, like,
Yeah.
yes, you're right on.
And just to finish, I feel like you know, there's nothing, I said this in a podcast before, there's nothing more beautiful to me than a person who has broken a cycle and multiple
Yes.
cycles. And I feel like you have. And I'm really proud of you
Yes.
for that. I feel like you really
Thank
broke the
you.
cycle with your children
Thank
and
you.
you are not the mother that your mom was. Would
No,
you agree with that?
100%. And not to take anything away from her, but part of being mature and real is just like you got to call it how it is. Okay? Kind of missed a couple here and there, mom, you know, refusing to let it happen as me as a mother. And you always think that they're going to then get like when they become grandparents, all right, this is your do-over. This is it right here. And then they just disappoint you again. You're like, all right, that was it. That was literally you could be a grandparent and kind of break the cycles that you and your journey feel like you need to break. Um,
They don't know
but
how.
no,
They
they
don't know
don't.
how.
They don't. They don't.
I think that a lot of older generations were
They
like,
just don't.
they're stuck in their ways, and I think that
Yeah.
one thing that's great about art, a lot of people say like millennials are the best, and I think that like I think there's a lot of truth to it because I think that we're like the older generations were not psychologically and emotionally intelligent like we are
Yeah.
nowadays, and then the
Yeah.
younger kids are kind of like fried in their own way. Not to get it like not because I know you have
Yeah.
kids, but like there's like the statistic like kids are getting like their test scores are going down and like
Yeah. Yeah.
TikTok
Yeah.
brains and all
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, I maybe it's a cognitive bias on my end, I'm sure it is, but I feel like our generation like does it the best.
Yes, something and to understand where people are at, you have to meet people at where they're at. And I'll
Mhm.
tell you something that made it make sense for my mom and I's relationship. She is a victim of sexual abuse as well.
Mhm.
And one time a therapist said to me, "What has happened to your mom? Because why is there so much of a break here?" And I said, "Well, I learned X, Y, and Z." But I learned later on, like when I was sharing this. And then that person goes, and it'll stay with me forever because I always apply it when it comes to a person of trauma that has experienced severe trauma. And they said, when you speak to your mother, know this. You're speaking because they said, is it acknowledged? Was it healed? Nothing. Right under the rug. They said, when you're speaking to her, you're speaking to, I forget right this second, to that 9-year-old
To the child.
because she stayed there.
Hmm.
She never healed.
Hmm.
Dude, my whole life, why have I been the more emotionally in control? The everything. And I'm like, oh my God. Because some people can't, right? This is what we said. They can't, no progress.
Mm,
Like, do you get stunt there in the peak of your trauma? Do you emotionally are unavailable at that point for how many years? I don't know, right? So it's a whole different conversation and ball game, but to meet someone at where they're at will allow you to understand it completely different, to give them grace,
mm,
So that's where I sit with people now, where I say, wow, why are you like that? Or if you're angry towards me or you're hurtful towards me, where is this coming from?
a
I know
place
I
of
don't
hurt.
deserve it. I'm
Mm,
not going to tolerate it, but I sure will help you explore it from a point of love. People don't understand that. When people are angry or in a space of just projecting negativity and hurting you, they don't understand when you reciprocate that with love. They don't get it. It can't exist. You know what I said to my ex one day? Now I told you not a crazy relationship. There was no highs and lows. It was just very, and then you break
very
up
what?
and very monotone, very
Very bland, very boring.
very just like just there. So there wasn't like, why are you leaving, V? Why are you not, you know? Um, and so anger came after a breakup, right? And I said, and I was like, I'm gonna love him through this. Nope. You're going through your emotions, anger. You're sitting in anger. You're gonna progress from that anger. Like there's no choice. We have two kids together, and you're a good man. It didn't work out. I refused to meet him where he was because I knew that he would come out of it. And I knew that we would get to a place where we are now. And I have a very healthy co-parenting relationship with him. There are boundaries, right? Because
Mm,
sometimes you see these co-parent relationships and it's very fluid as
yep.
far as like they're meshing families and partners and all this stuff. And um, there's boundaries, but that's my guy. Like he is doing his best at being the father that he needs to be. And he knows that I do my best every day to be the mother to his children. And it was really tough to sit there and to choose every day when someone is just choosing the wrong, the negative, the anger, I'm like, you had never been this person in our relationship. Why are you sitting in that space? Because he's hurt, V. Okay? Because it hurts. It hurts you differently. I was hurt leaving a relationship.
Hmm,
I have
hmm.
two little kids,
Yeah.
and I was
Yeah.
gonna marry this man.
Yeah.
But when I left, I did it from a place where I always live. I did it from a place of positivity and love and kindness and I just wanted it to be good between us. So there was a nice chunk of period where anything that came negative from him, it was like, nope, I'm loving you through this.
Can I
Like
ask
we're
you a
not doing
question?
this. Yes.
Do you have a fear of abandonment?
No. Does it come from feeling abandoned always?
Well, I remember you mentioned abandoned before. You said your mom abandoned
Yeah.
you, and I'm wondering, like, if you have a fear of abandonment
People
nowadays.
sometimes try to get in my head and they say, you leave before you can be left.
That's what
Like they
I'm
tried to.
wondering. But
So
I'm doing
that's
it
where you're
from
going.
a place of curiosity.
Um,
I'm not like saying it's true. I'm wondering if it's true.
no, but I'm telling you that I get this a lot. I get this a lot. They're like, you leave friendships, you leave relationships like before people leave you. And they try to, to analyze it. Um, but in return, I say, I have one life that I know that I'm living. I don't know what happens after this one, Chris. And I have one life and I want it a specific way. It's not that I'm leaving you, it's just not serving anymore, you know? Um, and I have tried, whether it's with a friendship, there's conversations before, but when people don't want to acknowledge the fact that there has been opportunities to make something better or conversations, then it's like you leave before you're left, right? Is this because of your childhood trauma? So what happens is you share things, right, with people, and then they think they can apply it They don't believe when you say, "Hey, that was me, that's part of me," but that's not where I'm not in that space anymore, you know?
Mm,
So I get it so much, and I'm just like, sometimes I get so tired of saying no, has nothing to do with it. I'm on a mission. It's happiness and it's peace and it's safety, no matter what. And the minute that one of those things are not shaping up, I gotta restructure things, you know? And that's why that's how I live.
mm.
Whether we talked about sleep. Remember, you're like, people need sleep.
I'm very pro sleep, very pro sleep. I need
And
I need like 9 hours a night. I'm
yeah, no, me too. I just don't get them. But I'm just like, I don't want to live without maximizing myself at all in all ways, you know? I
Mhm.
don't want to keep attempting something that hits a loose end. Um, I just want to be like, you know what? This cannot be it. Life has to give me something else. And that's for everything, you know. I just feel like I go really hard. And could it be because of everything? Yeah, but I like it. I got one life, one time to be a mother, you know. And people will say that to you, just like that, say like, oh, you leave before you're left, or and all these things. And when I was saying like I would see people parent, I'd be like, when I'm a mother, I'm gonna try to do it this way. And they'd be like, yeah, you just wait. You have no idea what you're talking about, what you're getting yourself
Pretty
into.
rude.
It's the norm. Ask anybody. It's always like that. Yeah, you say that now. Um, guess what? I'm exactly the mother that I always said I wanted to be.
High
Didn't
five.
bend. Didn't bend. And I then say it to people because it's unsolicited advice, or it's like, oh, you just wait. When they're one, you're not even going to care. You're going to put them in front of the TV and whatever gets the job
iPad.
done, right? And I say to people, I'm like, I'll wait till that person says, I'm like, don't believe that. It is you. Like you decide the partner that you want to be, the wife that you want to be, the communicator that you want to be, the mother that you want to be, the boss that you want to be, the employee that you want to be. It's you. She, she couldn't handle it. She gave in. You don't have to. I know we don't have to because I know that I don't. So people try to apply things just because they couldn't make it or they don't have the tools to be different and the discipline, right? Doesn't mean that that's your story. And that's where it is. I'm just like, no,
Yeah, it sounds to me like they were just projecting their insecurities and their
always.
the
Oh
way
my
that they
God, why do
felt
people
about
do this?
themselves, the way that they felt about themselves, they were projecting
Yeah.
onto you. And I was also thinking while you were speaking about like, the school, you said the school system played a large role in your healing, and I'm wondering like, maybe if your mom had a Mr. McGowan, had a Miss whatever her name
Yes.
was, like maybe she would have turned out better, you know?
Yes. Yes. And I'm so like grateful. I dislike meeting teachers nowadays. I run into a lot of teachers, like say they're at the restaurant or whatever, and the way they speak about their job, and maybe they're fed up, right?
They
Who
hate their
knows?
teachers hate their kids nowadays.
What is up with that? Teachers used to be life-changing people in our lives. And I am left in awe. Like, like my kid is now in first grade, first day of school. It's a note. Hey, this is Sia. This is her family. By the way, I am so grateful for you. Like, you are going to be with my child for 7 hours a day. You
Mhm.
mean a lot. And they're like blown. They'll call me. They're like, thank you so much. Oh my God. There's a disconnect now. There's a disconnect between
Everyone's angry.
families.
Everyone's
Ev
angry.
Everybody's living in the negative.
Mhm.
How can you be so disconnected and hand your kid over to a school system and not connect with that person that's with your kids awake more than you are? Let's be real, because if your
Yep.
kid gets out at 4 and you're putting them to bed by 8, it's 4 hours a day
Yep. Yep.
and a very rushed hour in the morning,
Hmm.
so I hate it because I always say teachers changed my life and school helped me survive. I don't know who I would be. When you're going home and your stepdad's saying, yeah, uh, or they're surprised that you don't become a teen pregnant mom,
Wow.
or when they say like nobody's gonna marry you, like all these
Have you been
things.
told that? That's terrible.
Please. It's terrible.
That is terrible.
But I had a safe space where I was able to think for myself, to inspire myself because someone, two, three people just cared, you know? And and all that. But people don't know that we go home to these things and that we have to survive these things and we have to not believe these things. Can you imagine the man role model in your home telling you nobody's going to marry you because
That's
of
so
X, Y,
sad.
and Z?
That's just, but again,
And if
projecting
someone
again.
and if someone goes and grows up doing internalizing that they're not strong enough and that's how they grow up, I can't believe what kind of woman she would turn out to be. I was always strong, thank you. I don't know how, why, you know? Um, But if I allowed things to just kind of sit and become my reality, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have this conversation.
Hmm.
And a lot of people, they end up like that, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I'm here. So what I hear is a woman that was like deep, 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 or a girl that was deep in the hole, and you found a way to pull yourself out. And you did have
Yes.
help with the school system, but yeah, I see. I feel like I'm speaking to a very, very strong woman when I speak to you. Very strong.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So I kind of ran out of questions. Is there anything else you wanted to add or say or
No, I think it's been so. I didn't want to do this, by the way.
really?
I was like, oh, maybe he cancels.
Oh, were you nervous?
Um,
Did I intimidate you? Were you
No, I
scared?
wasn't nervous because, like I said, I love sharing me
Hmm.
because I know at least one person, one person will sit and hear us and it'll help one person at least. And I was like, that is meaningful. But would we have such great energy like we have?
Hmm.
And you do, and it's great because that means that you do this for anybody that sits across the other screen, like they're feeling that.
Hmm.
Um, but it to me, a first when I'm not fully in control because I'm coming into your space,
Hmm.
it takes me a second. I need to like maybe cancel three times and then show up and be like, wow, this was so amazing that we did this, you know? And we did, we had to reschedule one just
Yeah.
for anybody watching just once. This is our second try. Um,
Was
but
that
I'm so
intentional?
no, I genuinely had the tickets to the game.
Okay. How was the game, by
Um,
the way? It was good?
It was good. It was all the starters are sitting out because they're
Mhm.
already guaranteed for the playoffs. But it was really nice. Like once I knew that like the first word comes, I'm like, all right, we're just talking, we're vibing,
Mhm.
we're sharing, and we're helping people, whoever is going to need a little bit of something. And I want people to not just sit through a podcast and just be like, oh, I agree, or oh, that's me. Like people should feel safe to reach out, to whether it's you or myself, and like, hey, not only do we want to talk about our story, but we want to talk about our story so that you could talk about yours if you need it. And so I think that that's why it was important. Like I said, even just one person just saying like, V, I needed this today from
Mhm.
a silly story. I'm just like, boom, my job's done today. Like that's it. I just want to help at least one person. I know it's the same with you. You wouldn't be taking time of having a job and then sitting and trying to get this platform just continuously going if we didn't want to just make a change for at least one person. So I'm so glad I did it. It just came from a place of the unknown, right? Like the
Yeah.
unknown is
Mhm.
intimidating. It's scary. But now I'm like, oh, I could do this all the time. And the fact that you and I clicked on the fact that we don't want to talk to people. We don't want
Mhm.
to give you, this is how you're supposed to do it. This is why this is happening in your life, right? We want to be like, let's help you through what you're going there. This formula that works for us is not yours to take, but like we just want to be here to help you create your formula. And I think that that was very important. I didn't want to come here and come off as someone that's talking about like, oh, this is my life and now this is what you need to do because look, I survived, you know?
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
just like, hey, everybody goes through something and not everybody heals at the same time. Not everybody succeeds at the same level. Um, I just want to meet you where you're at and help you from that point on. And we talked about, the fact of the sleep and the level of success. And people go like, why do you have so much on your plate? And I'm like, because my level of success might not look like the person that just is content with whatever they're content with. We're all different, like for people to get 12 hours of sleep and have a house that they're paying off their mortgage and a wife and their kids in a home in the small town that they grew up or in a big city, like that's their fulfillment, right?
Mhm.
My fulfillment might be different. So I might need to clock in another 2 hours after we get off this call, but it's meeting people for who they are, their potential, their success level that they want, and being there for those people for their individuality. We don't
Mhm.
want to sit here and say, like, another podcast where it's like, this is what you should do. And don't
Right,
date
right,
men if this
right.
and this and that.
Mhm.
Don't date man if this. No, tell me what you like about that man that's such a red flag. Let's explore the
Mhm.
reason why.
Mhm.
So I didn't want to talk to people. I wanted to talk with people. And I did that with you. So I thank you so
Yeah,
much.
I understand. Like you didn't want to like tell people what to do. You wanted to share
No.
your story and then let them decide for themselves. And before I forget, because this almost slipped my mind, you mentioned before that you like a part of you like wanted to be a therapist, but it's too much school. So before I let you go, hold on, before I let you go,
Tell me, are you gonna give me the key to success?
no, no, no. I just want to let you know that I'm 36 and I decided to go back to school to be a therapist at 35.
I
And
will, Chris. I will go to school. Just give
you
me like 2 more years.
is that your plan to be a therapist? Is that your plan?
I just want to have that side of schooling under my belt.
Hmm.
And yes, life coaching, therapy, like all of that combined, it eventually is the end goal.
So,
But
so
can I,
so you know that you can master in either social work or mental health counseling. So I chose social work because it opens up a lot more doors, and I do it
Nice.
online. I don't go to school. I do it online.
Oh,
It's
give me some information after for
yeah, yeah, yeah.
sure.
I'll definitely give you like a bunch of
Yeah,
colleges, but like it's so I only take one class at a time, but it's online. It's the masters, and like it gives me the opportunity to work full time and do this podcast and like
love it.
yeah. So
So proud of you for just
thank you.
like doing it, going, making time for it. Because it's never too late.
And thank
No,
you
you
for
could
saying I'm
always.
proud of you because like I don't hear that
No, I
too
am
and often
so
enough.
proud of you.
So
I'm gonna
thank
say it
you.
again.
No,
I am
that
so proud of you. I
yeah.
think that's epic. Like I'm sitting down and being like, oh my God, he's doing it. That means I can do it. And this is what we talked about, that little moment
Hmm.
of just, I'm inspired. I'm
Hmm.
inspired by a common person because we're
Hmm.
common people,
Hmm.
and we're in a times where we just idolize these celebrities and these people that are higher than us. It's like we have to
Quote
look up.
unquote.
We have
Yeah.
to look up, right?
Yeah.
And I always say, stop looking up. Look to the side. Look in front of you.
Hmm.
Like these are your people, and they're doing amazing things, and they have discipline and key to things that they're gonna help you. Not like who's there? They're not that.
Right. They're not who
So
you think you are. Who you
no,
think they
so
are.
I'm like, who inspired me today? Chris did. Chris, that's
You
it.
inspired me back. And
Thank
definitely like
you.
I really think that you're like meant to be a therapist. I think that you would be
Thank
really good at
you.
it.
We're gonna be therapists.
Yeah, so by when we have our next podcast, hopefully you're in school by then. Hold on, one more story, okay? Before you
Tell
go.
me.
So like it was like a month, like maybe a month or two ago, you had me crack because you're really funny on Instagram, by the way. Like
I
you
don't
like
know if I should be like a tidy up professional or just go all unhinged and go for it.
no listen, because you're like you actually make me laugh on Instagram, but like a month or two ago, it was snowing. Remember, like we had that blizzard, and you posted this
My
story.
man rant.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you posted this story and you were like, there's nothing that humbles me more than snow. Like, no, I don't want to be a strong woman. I don't want to be an independent
I
woman. Like,
don't.
there's nothing that humbles me more than snow. Do you remember that post?
Of course, I got so much heat from it from like my inner circle.
Yeah.
Um, and
It
whatever
had me
guy
cracking up. I didn't
and
say
whatever
anything, but I
guy
was
was there, it's
dying.
like, wait, so you're single or not? You do want a man or you don't? And it was so funny because it's true. Every time things get hard, I told you I'm very traditional in my personal life. I want to be. So I'm just like, gas, oil change? No, please, someone get me a man for this.
So when you pump your car in your gas, when you pump gas in your car, is that what you're thinking?
Guys, the stories of how I don't know how to pump gas are real. Like I just genuinely I don't know what happens. My brain stops working.
How do you
And
survive? How do you get from point A to point B?
listen, so I found a full service gas station by
Oh
work.
gosh.
The
You're
guy
cheating.
loves me. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
cheating on life. The guy loves me. And now I'm very ritual about it. Like every Wednesday or Tuesday, I fill it up and I feel so accomplished. My car has shown like 7,000 miles for an oil change. I'm struggling. The guys at work have really taken me like under their wing and they're like, V, give me a car. We're taking it to get gas. V, we're taking an oil change. And I'm like, I love you guys.
It's a
Until maybe I do get into a relationship and that person does all these little things for me because those things are love languages for me. And I don't want to
pump
own
gas.
them. I don't want to own them. No. And so I'm very vocal. I'm like, I have the perfect relationship in my head. I manifest the perfect partner. So goes back to like if those things are not met, like I have to just keep going. And I'm not actively searching, but I know exactly what it looks like, you know?
Mhm.
And if and when I have the opportunity to start dating and seeing if those things are there, I know exactly what I want to ask. And I want to know exactly, I'll know exactly what I'm looking for.
In our next podcast, we should definitely talk about like dating because that's like a
We
whole different
should.
topic. Like
Oh my
I have a lot
God.
to say about that, and
Me
that's like one of my
too.
favorite topics too. So we should maybe in like a month
Especially
or
on
two, yeah,
today's market.
we should
Um,
talk about that next podcast.
yes, and I can actually open up about my personal life because I never talk about it, and people are we are so nosy in a great way. Like we want to literally be like, what is that guy about? Like behind closed doors in his Instagram post. I remember when I was engaged, no one knew about it. No one knew I like that I was in a relationship with my ex. Like you never post. I'm like, of course not. Like uh, Instagram is a platform for me of self-expression. So
Mm.
whatever I feel like sharing or not, it's where my mind and my creativity is lying right there in the moment. You know, like they say, like when you're in a breakup or you're having a hard, all the memes start, you know, all the shady memes.
Mm.
People are expressing themselves. You know, there's not, it's now such a bad tool for X amount of reasons, but it's also giving people that have no one to turn to a place where they can just say something by
Mm.
reposting a meme or whatever the case is. They can just vent.
And hopefully they don't get any nasty comments in return.
I know it's crazy, but I have like very weird guy stories. If we ever do a dating podcast, it's
No,
fantastic.
that's one of my favorite topics. So our next podcast, we'll talk about that for
Let's do
sure.
it. It's great. Also, I'm like I want to be a matchmaker. I want to go on a blind date. Like I want to do it all. So maybe we set myself up on some blind dates and then we come and review these blind dates. I'm like, what is out there? And
We'll try it.
people,
I have
yeah.
friends, man. I have friends.
All right, set me up, Chris. No, don't. I'm not interested,
When you're
remember?
ready, when you're ready.
Yes. Do we say good night now?
Yes, have a good night, V. It was great talking to
Thank you.
you.
It
We're
was
definitely
so
gonna have a part
amazing.
two.
Beautiful. I'll see you soon. Thank you
Get
so
some
much.
sleep. Get some sleep, okay?
You too.
Have a good night.
Bye.